In 1971, Richard Nixon stood before the American people and announced that the United States would no longer exchange dollars for gold. It took 30 seconds to say. It had taken 30 years to become inevitable. Now, consider this. In 64 AD, the Emperor Nero stood before his treasury officials and made a quieter decision. No announcement, no cameras, no press conference. He simply ordered his mint workers to put a little less silver in each coin. Just a little, barely noticeable. The coin looked the same, felt the same, spent the same. For now. What followed wasn't a single crisis. It was something far more dangerous. A slow collapse, stretched across 300 years, so gradual that the people living through it couldn't see it happening, until the day they couldn't ignore it anymore. To understand what happened to Rome, you need to understand what the denarius actually was. Not just a coin, a contract. Every denarius minted at the height of the Roman Empire contained approximately 4.5 grams of pure silver. That silver content was the promise. It told merchants in Egypt, traders in Britain, soldiers on the Rhine frontier, and tax collectors in Syria, this coin is worth exactly what it says it is. That trust made the denarius the world's reserve currency. Think about what that means. A merchant in Alexandria doing business with a supplier in Antioch didn't need to weigh gold dust or barter livestock. He used denarii. A Roman soldier stationed in what is now Germany sent his pay home to his family in Spain in denarii. The entire economy of the Mediterranean world ran on one coin backed by one promise. Today, we call that the dollar system. The mechanics are identical. The dollar's reserve status rests on one assumption, that the United States will honor its obligations and that the currency will hold its value. The denarius rested on exactly the same assumption. Both systems worked brilliantly, until the costs of maintaining empire began to exceed the resources available to pay for it. Nero's debasement in 64 AD wasn't random. It was a response to a very specific problem. Rome was expensive. The legions needed paying. The grain dole that fed the urban poor needed funding. The games, the aqueducts, the roads, the bureaucracy, the entire apparatus of empire had a price tag that kept growing. Tax revenue had limits. Conquest was slowing. The easy wealth of the early empire was spent. So Nero did what governments have done in every era when spending exceeds revenue and raising taxes feels politically impossible. He found a way to create more money from the same amount of silver. By reducing the silver content of the denarius from 90% to 75%, Rome could mint more coins from the same stockpile. More coins meant more spending. The problem appeared solved. Sound familiar? In 2008, the Federal Reserve faced a financial system on the edge of total collapse. Tax revenue couldn't cover the cost of the bailout. Raising taxes was politically unthinkable. Cutting spending was worse. So they created money. Trillions of dollars conjured from nothing through quantitative easing. The mechanism is different, a digital ledger entry instead of a mint worker with a file. But the logic is identical. Spend more than you have. Find a way to paper over the gap. Move the problem forward. Nero moved it forward. His successors moved it further, and further, and further. Here is what makes the Roman debasement so remarkable. It didn't happen overnight. It happened across 12 generations. Nero took the denarius from 90% silver to 75%. His successors took it to 60%, then 50%. By the reign of Septimius Severus around 200 AD, it was down to 50%. By Gallienus in the 260s, it had fallen to just 2%. 2%. The coin still said denarius, it still had an emperor's face on it, it still passed from hand to hand in markets across the empire. But it was no longer silver. It was bronze with a thin silver wash that rubbed off within weeks of minting. And the people of Rome knew it. Merchants started pricing in the debasement. A loaf of bread that cost 1 denarius under Augustus cost 50 denarii by the 3rd century. Not because bread changed, because the coin did. This is what economists call the Diocletian inflation. Prices didn't rise because the economy failed. Prices rose because the money became worthless. Now look at this from the outside. Between 2020 and 2022, the United States added more dollars to the money supply than in its entire previous history combined. The inflation that followed wasn't a mystery. It wasn't supply chains alone. It wasn't energy prices alone. It was the same mechanism. More units of currency chasing the same amount of goods. The Romans didn't have economists, but they felt it at the market every morning. So did we. I need to stop here for a second and say something. I know this is a small channel, you can see that, and the fact that you're here, watching this, giving this video a chance, that alone tells me I'm on the right track. If you're enjoying this series, a like, a comment, even just finishing the video, it means more than you'd think. And if you have an idea for what the next topic should be, drop it in the comments. I read everything. If something isn't working, the pacing, the topic, anything, tell me in the comments or over in the community tab. I'd genuinely rather know. Your input shapes where this channel goes. So thank you for being here. Now, let's get back to it. The Roman economy didn't collapse when the silver ran out. It collapsed when trust ran out. There's a critical distinction between those two things. For decades, Romans accepted debased coins because everyone else accepted them. The fiction of value held as long as enough people agreed to maintain it. This is true of every currency system in history. The dollar has value because enough people believe it has value. The moment that belief fractures at scale, the system doesn't weaken, it shatters. In the crisis of the 3rd century, between 235 and 284, Rome had 26 emperors in 50 years. Most died violently. The army became the kingmaker, and the price of making a king kept rising. More coins, more debasement, more inflation. Soldiers started demanding payment in goods rather than coin. They knew what the coin was worth. Tax collectors started demanding payment in kind, grain, livestock, labor, because they knew what would happen to coin by the time they deposited it. When the people inside a monetary system start refusing to use the money, that system is already over. The formal declaration is just paperwork. Today, de-dollarization follows a similar logic. Countries aren't abandoning the dollar because they hate America. They're abandoning it because they've watched what the United States does with the printing press, and they're doing exactly what Roman merchants did. Hedging, quietly, while they still can. Not everyone was destroyed by the Roman debasement, and the ones who survived share characteristics that have never stopped being relevant. First, they held real assets instead of cash. Land, grain stores, livestock, buildings, things that held value regardless of what the coin said. When the denarius became worthless, a farm was still a farm. A warehouse full of grain still fed people. Second, they were embedded in local networks. The great trading houses that depended on long-distance commerce collapsed when trust in currency collapsed. Small local producers who sold to their immediate communities had far less exposure. The simpler the supply chain, the more resilient it proved. Third, they understood what was happening before it was obvious to everyone. The merchants who started pricing in silver weight rather than coin value, who demanded payment in gold solidi rather than denarii, they preserved their wealth. The ones who trusted the official denomination until the end lost everything. This pattern repeats. In Weimar Germany, those who held real estate, foreign currency, or productive businesses survived hyperinflation. Those who held savings accounts watched them evaporate. In 2008, those who understood that mortgage-backed securities were worth less than their ratings claimed got out early. Those who trusted the official denomination until the end lost everything. The asset class changes, the principle doesn't. Understand what the money actually is, not what it claims to be. The Roman denarius didn't die in a single day. It died across 300 years of small decisions, each one defensible in isolation, each one contributing to a trajectory that ended in collapse. Nero's 15% reduction looked manageable. It was, in isolation, but it established a precedent. When the next crisis came, the solution was the same: reduce the silver, buy time, move the problem forward. And the next emperor did the same, and the next, until there was no silver left to reduce and no trust left to spend. The Roman Empire didn't fall because it was weak. It fell because it was sophisticated enough to postpone its problems, and postponed them so many times that when the bill arrived, there was nothing to pay it with. We have far more sophisticated tools for postponement today, which might mean we can delay the reckoning longer. Or it might mean the reckoning, when it comes, will be proportionately larger. The denarius started as the most trusted currency in the world. It ended as a bronze disc with a thin silver wash that rubbed off within weeks of minting. The question for every monetary system that follows, including ours, is not whether debasement is happening, it's how far along the curve we actually are. In the next video, we look at the most sophisticated trade network the ancient world ever built. It connected China to Rome, moved silk and spices across 10,000 miles, and created wealth on a scale the world had never seen. Then, it vanished almost overnight. The Silk Road collapse. See you there.